We are here today to announce that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear. It's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
Okay, breaking news in the trade war zone as China threatens to fight back with even more tariffs, and at the same time breaking news from Donald Trump directly on Twitter, who says that interest rates should come down, and now rumors are even speculating that the Fed is already going into an emergency meeting, which we can prove are not true yet. So make sure to stay tuned for all of this. And by the way, Bitcoin is looking quite good in the situation, so stay tuned for this. So good morning to each and every one of you. A little bit later here today, but of course I've got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because we have to talk about all of these developments here, starting out obviously with a little bit better news for Bitcoin, but also with the threat hanging over our heads that this is going to spiral into a full-fledged trade war. We will see what's actually going on in a second. But first of all, may I kindly ask you to smash up the like button here, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, notifications on, and become a rare hodler if you are not yet. And by the way, good morning, Patrick. Good to see you here. Guys, let me know in the chat what you think about the current situation. How are you doing? Because, I mean, it's probably not shaking up only stock investors. Crypto investors are already shaken quite some time, right? But it's also, I mean, people are right now also losing their jobs and so on. So let me know how you're doing, if everything's all right. But with that, let's jump into crypto. So, yesterday we looked at this falling off of the support, right? But now we can actually see that we're back above it. We're actually sitting just under 80,000 for Bitcoin. We've reached as high as 81,000 this night. But so far, it really seems that the whales are pushing for this support to hold, right? And obviously, maybe a push higher here. We thought this bounce would already happen, but then we came back down. So is it time to bounce? We don't know. Probably on an end or a pivot of the Fed, in the sense of going from pause back to cuts, could do the trick, together with a liquidity injection of the maturing debt refinancing. That could do, all of that could do the trick. Overall, we are down 27% currently. We have been down 32% in the most extended volatility of the dip. So all of that, is not comfortable for investors, as this is only Bitcoin and altcoins are looking way worse in that matter, right? But let's look at the news quickly. What is happening? So we see Asia actually has some better day. Experiences a little bit green, with the Nikkei bouncing back 5%, crazy. But here's also the next threat looming, right? China says it will fight to the end after Trump threatens 50% additional tariffs. So China not coming to the table just yet. whereas other countries are already coming to the table. Beijing's strong counter-tariffs raised the specter of an intense trade war, which would then be, at the first glance, localized to only the US and China. But we will see who else is going to withstand and goes into a trade war. It's just the most stupid thing that you can do, right? Because that actually would harm both sides to an unnecessary extent. EU politicians also urging calm after Trump tariffs drive stock market earthquake. Some stock markets have seen severe red, which is, by the way, a great buying opportunity in my opinion. So I allocated also a little bit to an ETF, even though I know that more for diversification reasons, right? But I know that Bitcoin has the way better CAGR and so on. But since we have been already going up 5x on Bitcoin, I thought it's also time to have a little bit in a less volatile reserve. Now, Japan stocks rise nearly 5% as Asia Pacific markets trade higher after previous sessions losses, which is basically on no ground. It's just a bounce back, maybe investors allocating something. But Asia might take another hit here based on this, right, during the day. So now Trump comes out and actually, by the way, before we look at it, who did this? Who the fuck? Oh my god, AI is just giving us, I mean, what the heck. Okay, but the real official account from Donald Trump, I can't even zoom up, or I can't even go up to get rid of this. So this sticks here on the screen now. Oil prices are down, interest rates are down. The slow-moving Fed should cut rates, says he. Food prices are down. There is no inflation, and the long-time abused USA is bringing billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariff by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. So this is his message for everyone here on Twitter. And I think the most important is like the call to the inside, the threat to the outside, right? So we will see how countries long-term react. But we have seen before that China already had economic troubles and tried to stimulate it with the big financial bazooka. Now, basically, he's in the better position with the tariffs here, right? And then the European Union, though, is coming to the table, right? Finally. The European Union says they're ready to negotiate with the United States, says they've offered 0 tariffs. This is really good, right? This could be, like, if this gets approved from both sides, this would be a really good step, right? A 0. Yeah. The announcement was made by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table, she said. But she also added, offered 0 tariffs for industrial goods because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So for industrial goods, right? Because, as I said before, and this is what even some politicians in the US don't understand, for food, it's a different story. There are regulations in the EU that you cannot just circumvent for a 0 deal in the US, because before there was US politicians saying they don't want our chicken, they don't want our beef. No, we don't, like, we really don't want that, right? I mean, we want the beef maybe because beef is really tasty, but we don't want the chicken because the chicken unfortunately doesn't comply with 100 health rules, right? So yeah, we don't want that. Yeah, that is that, but it's good to come to the table 0-0 on all of these goods and things that don't comply with food-based rules. I mean, technically, you could allow or apply this 0-0 as long as they do all the proof points of the EU. You could put it that way, right? And say, hey, look, if you are organic farmer, you can export to the EU, right? If you want. Then there is a rumor circulating. This is very important because you will see this rumor, and the way that people put it, because everyone is doing copy paste. Yeah, exactly. Sven says we want the beef but not the hormones. So the way that everyone puts this news is they take a screenshot and they cut off this line down here, right? So on Twitter you see, the Fed is calling for closed board meeting. They are going to this emergency meeting. No, it's not. It's a closed board meeting that is announced since already the 4th of March. This is more than a month ago. It's updated on April the 3rd, which is 5 days ago. And it's just a regular closed board meeting. May they discuss something there about this? Yeah, of course they will, but it's not called because of that, right? You see it clearly here on the date, but you will find it on Twitter and so on, only with this until here, right? Until here. And they cut off all this part on the bottom, which is it's just such a disgrace because everyone on Twitter is crying about the mainstream media, rightfully crying about the mainstream media being one-sided and spreading fake news and hiding certain information, but then we shouldn't do that as well, right? I mean, what the fuck? So I really hate this. So I have to go here on the official site to find this out, right? But there is good reason to look at what the Fed is doing, because next FOMC meeting is coming up on 7th of May, and the market is now seeing a 35%, almost 35% chance that there's going to be a cut, whereas before that was almost 99% not. And then on June, basically, either May or June, there will be a cut, because for June, the meeting says there's only a less than 1% chance that the Fed is not going to cut. And here is a 25, and there is a 50 basis point rate cut, even with 30% on the table for June, if no rate cut is already coming here in May. By the way, it just changed from 34 to 30%. Okay, so it's a little bit less, but we will see, right? We will see. And the question is, emergency meeting ? That highly depends on whether the stock markets will stabilize or if they are going to crash, right? Damien says, I can't stop buying at the low prices. I think I'm addicted. Well, the question is it if you're addicted, you're buying at every price, probably, right? If you're only buying at these low prices, then probably not, right? I'm not a doctor, so if you really think that you have an addiction and you have to seek your doctor. But other than that, I would say if you just know what a good deal is, then okay. But if you're also buying at all-time high, then it's questionable. Anyways, and that also for Bitcoin, right? I mean, if you're buying a dead meme at these prices, then wow, then it's different, right? But to each their own. You need to analyze this for yourself. Okay, good. Basically that's the full story. China doesn't give in. The US wants to add an additional 50%. If that happens, the market will crash again. If that happens, if they don't come to the table, market will crash again. If whenever countries agree to a 0 for 0, the market will recover, right? The Fed will watch this market and they will maybe decide on that, right? I mean, for VeChain, yeah, well, I mean, it's a good project, but we will see how it. I think so. My personal opinion and what I do, right? I held everything. I think the market will come back. I think the global liquidity is still king. I think gold still shows us the way. I think this whole thing is temporary, or as Biden would say, transitory. Yeah, I think the market will get used to it wherever tariffs prevail, and the market will appreciate it wherever tariffs fall completely. Because we have to see one thing. Before, it was not. I think the EU had a 2.5% tariff on the US, whereas the US had none on the EU or something like that. Like, it was not. At least it was not balanced, right? Now, if it's a 0 for 0, that's actually good, right? For the whole market. So it's better than before then for the market. Like, if you see a global market, right? Not for the individual country, but global market, right? So coming from that and saying liquidity exploding, interest rates going down, 0 for 0 tariff zones that benefit the whole economy. The question is, trade war, yes or no, right? That's a big question that will influence that. Other than that, I would say everything's coming back. And if Bitcoin looks like this and bounces here, really good, because then we don't have to call off the bear market, right? Really good, then because then we are up in no time, right? Then we are back up here in no time, and everyone will hate themselves for not buying the dip, right? So for me personally, on the VeChain, I hold my bag. I didn't sell anything yet, except my initial investment a longer while ago. But there you go. There you go. So let's take a look at the altcoins, which are, we are on the monthly. So on the day, altcoins have a nice recovery here, right? So, I mean, you need to recover way more than you have dropped, right? You know the rule, like you drop 10%, you need to recover 20, right? But still, the recovery is good. 13% render, Fartcoin 30%. So you see how big of a community this thing has, right? Helium token 15%, Hype 18.9%. We have HBAR here behind the screen 17.7%, and so on, right? Let's see. Overall, over the board, it's about the 5% recovery all across the board. Almost everything's green except 2 to 3 projects. Tel 22%, Snake 14%, Hex 15%, Pulsechain 18%, Core 16%, Jasmy 11%, and so on. There's Pulsechain 13%. What is that? PulseX, right? So that is good. It's a small recovery, but it's a start, right? GMX 21%, GigaChat 13.5%, and so on. So a lot. Tucson post game over. Well, we will see. We will see, right? So let's see Bitcoin dominance though, and look at that. Like, this is really bad for altcoins right now. Bitcoin dominance is going up, and wow, this is crazy, right? Look at this. Bitcoin dominance is still not a higher high than here, because we had this massive wick to the upside on Bitcoin dominance, but Bitcoin is at 63 dominance is at 63.44%, way higher than expected. No turnaround as expected here and as anticipated here. And the next level to look out for seems to be this one here, right? Wait a second. Okay. Let's take this level would be the first, and then the major level would be that one, right? So the question is, will we rise. This would be the next major level here. Since we have broken this level and successfully retested on top of it, this is the next level, 70%. And oh my god, will altcoins get wrecked if we go up there. So that is definitely the case. But temporarily, because look at this, we had something similar here, right? Besides trickling down all the way, we suddenly started pumping again, put in a new high, and then it was altcoin season, right? So so there are a couple of things that need to happen before. Obviously, Bitcoin cannot enter a bear market, which it is not in now, I would argue. It's just a correction. And and then this can happen, right? So we will probably rally more. Right now, we are sitting at this. This might pose a little bit of a resistance here, right? And then the next piece is 65%. Yeah. Damien says, "Keep up the good work, brothers." Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I will. So let's see. Gold is taking a breather, but Bitcoin did not react yet, right? Whereas we would say, okay, at some point, where's our Bitcoin reaction here, right? So the question is, will gold just keep on rallying? Because we have seen it encounter big resistance at 3,172. Going here into the weekly, we see how the decoupling really looks instead of at the moment, right? Instead of following suit. And what a massive, massive rally we see here since 22 for gold, right? Gold is up 85%. Wow. I mean, Bitcoin outperformed it by a long shot, right? By so much from this bottom, right? Bitcoin went 5x, even to the all-time high here, 6x, right? But nonetheless, if you overlay it, you see clearly the correlation between gold and Bitcoin, right? And you see clearly the decoupling that is too close, right? So the question is, when will this happen, right? When? It's only a matter of when, not if, in my opinion. So we'll see here. It's more like the 2017 creep still, right? Patrick Bultman says, question is, when will the market recover? Now, this year, of the next bull run, if there is one? Good question. I would say from a cycle timing perspective, there is time until the end of the year. Okay. So we don't know what happens exactly and when it happens. Since we get the sell-off already now and it's already April, maybe we don't see that much of a sell and may go away event, right? Since the liquidity is only hitting the market now, maybe we see a mega run for the rest of the year. So but it's a good example, right? Everyone has been predicting, including me, everyone has been predicting that probably the bull run is coming in Q1, Q2 this year. And what happens? It didn't. It crashed 30% because of quantitative tightening in the last quarter of the last year, affecting into this year. But you see, the masses are always wrong, right? So if everyone thinks that the bull run is in Q1, Q2, 2025, and the bull run is over then, that's what everyone thinks right now. Yeah, and I was not immune to this, right? Maybe it's not over, and maybe it's coming in the latter part of the year. So this is the question, right? So everyone thought, okay, altcoin season is going to be in Q1. What is? Everything gets wrecked in Q1, right? So the masses are always wrong. Yeah. We just do not know. We're all pushed into selling. And this is exactly it. This is why the ground rule is never to be over leveraged, so no one can push you into selling when you don't want to, right? If you're just good with your investments, you're like, hey, you know what, that's a good shot at multiplying my investment, but I don't need it the next coming years. I can fairly great live without what I have in it. Well, then it's good, right? Because you can then decide. You can just wait until things are really booming. And no one can tell me that this hasn't been a massive bull market already, right? I mean, if you look at Bitcoin and zoom out, that is a massive bull market, right? But a higher low and a bounce here is a continuation pattern, right? So we said already, if you remember, that on this bounce, we said already, the volume is not really there, right? And bam, we're back down here. Now the question is, when will the action hit the market? And I think it should be fairly soon. The crazy thing is that we have been doing all this rallying, all this up, going up, right? We are still up 410% from the bottom of Bitcoin. That all happened in a high rate environment. We didn't even see in this low next to zero rate, financial expansion, global liquidity hitting the market, everyone buying like crazy environment. We did not see that yet. So the question is, are we maybe mimicking this, right? This here, where, look at this. It would be like going here and having this correction or this correction, which by the way was 37%, and say, okay, probably the bull market is over, right? So the anticipation is this. What if this still happens, right? Okay, so let's overlay this. Let's just take this out and overlay this. Let's take it from from this bottom or so, right? All the way up here. Okay, let's take this here. I did not do this before, but what if you have something like this, right? Something like this. I don't know. Yeah, doesn't fit 100%, right? But I mean, let's say, just what if you bounce and you go crazy, right? What if? Yeah. By the way, that would be crazy. Need to slim this down. Okay, it's still 500,000 in this, but anyways, right? What if there's still this part? Just for a moment, think about it, right? Because if everyone's bearish, then this might happen. But up here, when everyone's bullish, this will happen, right? So I'm just thinking out loud here, and actually I didn't plan this or so. I just did it. So of course that doesn't fit 100%, right? Maybe it's also not 100% aligned, and something like this or so. I don't know, right? But it's an idea, right? It's an idea to say, hey, maybe we're moving like this, right? I mean, there's a little, this could be the ETF decoupling here, whereas we should have curved out. But anyways, hey, Divine the Thing, thank you very much for the continuous support here. You're awesome. The moment we give up, ETH starts to pump. By the way, there was Baron Trump, was it? I think he posted, "It's good time to buy ETH right now." Funny, right? Yeah. And probably he would then retweet it and say, "I told you so." Yeah. The dollar still red, which is good for risk-on assets in the long run. You see what happens last time. So the question is, where is the pump? Where is the pump? It's not coming yet because of all this scare in the market. Like right now, everything that happens here on this side, on the news side, is telling the regular Wall Street investor, hey, playbook says if this happens and uncertainty is high, then risk off, right? That is basically what happens. Once the situation is resolved, uncertainty lowers, so certainty goes up, and then say, okay, risk on. That's it, risk on. right? So also with the inflation rate and so on, remember, we got an important reading coming up. Inflation rate, month over month and year over year, coming in on 10th of April. That's in 2 days. That is going to lower uncertainty. Divine Thing says perfectly relaxed about all this going on. Buddha mindset. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, you have to do it. Like for me, when I see the stock market crash, the only thing that I think about is, okay, time to buy, no matter why it did crash, right? It's only like what I think is, I'm a buyer here, right? Because I already trained myself to think a crash equals opportunity, right? And this is really why did this happen? Probably because I started investing somewhere in a pandemic crash. And I was like, okay, maybe that's a good chance for me to get in when prices are low, right? So from the beginning, it was, hey, what can I do, right? And to be honest, right? I mean, we don't want high prices. We only want high prices when we don't have money left over anymore to allocate, and when we want this to explode to save us for something, right? So the question is, when, not if, in my opinion, and what can we do until then, right? There are so many things, like you can explore new opportunities. You can also take the time off until crypto bounces and recovers to just do something else, right? Don't obsess about it. Maybe treat instead, go sports, health, whatever, right? But that's basically that, right? Guys, for today, I think that's enough talking. Make sure to smash up the like button, stay strong, right? This is all going to, like, you don't remember the past 5 dips of this cycle, I bet. If I just tell you, hey, go tell me when they were and how they were without looking at the chart, you probably only remember the 6-7 month mega boredom phase from last year. But the other dips we don't even remember, but they were also 20%, right? So this one here is a little bit more severe, but as long as we're bouncing, it's good. So guys, with that, I'll leave you here wherever you are on the world. Have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. Don't forget to smash up the like button, and I see you in